On.
Angie,
I have some great news to share.
you're pregnant?
Oh, no. And if I were, we wouldn't be having this conversation. We would actually be receiving some type of funding because I'd be the world's record holder or something
It
miraculously.
would be it would be pretty miraculous. Well, have you finally done that thing that you've been wanting to do?
I am not quite sure of what you speak, but I like the sound of it. But no, actually, I received a message from someone that has been a listener of our show, and they shared some great feedback regarding their own coaching challenges. And guess what?
Oh, okay.
Guess what the overall focus was?
Oh, well, based on your excitement, I'm not even sure I can guess.
Come on, Jay, give it a shot.
Oh, you twist my arm, Angie. All right. What is it? What type of coaching they want us to focus on?
Nope.
Who their ideal client is?
Nope.
Oh, God, this is hard. I give up.
Okay. It is the age old challenge every single one of us faces as coaches. And it's really on how to create an actual coaching business, a business.
Oh, you're talking my language. That sounds like a great episode. Let's get onto it and deliver some insights.
Sounds like a plan.
Welcome to the Coaching Clinic with John and Angie.
The show for professional coaches who want to develop their skills and grow their business.
Follow the show on your favorite podcast app.
And join us every Wednesday for new episodes. It's great to come back to this. You and I have talked about this, but we started our show, almost 2 years ago?
Yeah, I think maybe things have moved on. We might even have some new insights that we didn't have then. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this conversation, Angie. And yeah,
Ah,
I think it's a super important one for coaches, very, very relevant. And we were just talking about this not that long ago about how some people just think, oh, it's going to be super easy to start my coaching business and everything's going to be sunshine and flowers and butterflies and all that good stuff. And then they get into
mhm.
the reality of it, that it's actually not that easy.
Yeah, and I think that, okay, so logically, I believe that most people who transition into solopreneurship have a basic understanding or an expectation that it's going to take work, right? And they're not afraid
Sure.
of putting in the work to do all the things that we do to prepare, whether it's creating a website, who am I talking to? Do I have a brand yet? I don't think that's the part that challenges people as much as once they are in it and they sit at the desk and they go, oh, look at my website. Look at my LinkedIn profile. Look at all the things that I'm doing, all the things, Angie. I'm doing the right things. I'm showing up. And then they kind of sit there and go, but now what? The phone isn't ringing, so to speak.
Yeah, I do still think that there are people out there who just think, all right, they see this appealing program, become a coach, have your own business, all that kind
Oh,
of
yeah.
stuff. And they make it look super easy. They do that, they go through the program, maybe finish it even, and then set up their business and then thought, hey, what's going on? You said this was going to be easy and it's not easy. Where are my clients? Why is this not super simple? That people are doing a 5-day home study course or maybe even going away for a weekend intensive in coaching and thinking that they're ready to start helping people transform their lives and to have this huge, wonderful business and the stars will align. And I hope it happens for some people. I guess
Sure.
it must. Just statistically, some people just whoosh into success, and you may even see who they are and think, bloody, why isn't that happening for me? And yeah, that can be very disheartening as well. But for the majority of us, it's going to take a lot longer.
Well, I think yes, and so yes, to your point, and I didn't want to minimize it. Is that but you still have to understand that there's going to be that challenge of what happens, even if a lot of people are from a professional space, they might even say, "Oh," and they think quickly. I know 5 people that I could talk to that I know that can get me in with their company or with people or right? But the reality is when you start making these lists of where do you start as a business, you get set up, you decide what you want to do, how do you want to coach, who do you want to coach? And if you still have questions about that, you should be reaching out to John or myself because we want to hear that from you as well. But at
Yeah,
the end
yeah.
of the day, managing your expectation, as I feel, is the key to your success. If you're not managing your expectations, you can get very turned off. You start to feel, look at you smiling. What?
I just have to be honest about something. Here's the thing with when it comes to managing expectations, we all know this is true. The queue for comforting lies is a lot longer than the queue for harsh realities. Right? And
Yeah.
this is
Yeah.
just the truth. Nobody wants to be told up front, this is going to be a heck of a lot of work. You are really going to have to get your hustle and grind on to get this off the ground. Nobody wants to hear that. That's not appealing. We want the add water and mix solution, or we instant dessert or whatever it is. We don't want to have to wait for these things. But I think some of this does end up coming down to what are you getting into it for? Are you getting into it because it seems like a low barrier to entry and it seems other people are making money
Yeah.
with this? Or
Yeah.
are you getting into it because maybe you have experience, you've been doing some coaching, you have a passion for this, you want to help people make a difference, help transform, that you're getting into it for, that you really care about this and you want to make a difference in the industry. But I think those are two different things, because if you have a really strong why you're doing this, that's going to pull you through some of the challenges and obstacles that are going to inevitably come up in your way, then you will get through that and you won't be so put off by hearing that this is going to take work and this is going to probably take longer than you would prefer, but it will be absolutely worth it when you do.
Well, here's my thing. I said this to you earlier today, but getting started is not a final destination for people.
Mm.
I think that there is, and I've had this mindset at times where it's, if I can just get to this point, which is gain traction, right? Dig into something and go, oh, I have my footing. I can start. And I don't know what that start looks for everybody. It could be one great client and you just feel good. And I am a very strong supporter of go strike while that iron's hot, while you feel really super confident and excited and dopamine is all over the place because you got a new client. Keep going, because here's you don't do this one time. You do this over and over and over and over. It's not this singular thing that happens. So let's discern for a minute. Yes, you might want to get the website up. Who do I want to be? Who do I want to talk to? And decide all that. That's many other episodes, right? We can break each of those down into its own, right? And we have, but we're going to start revamping and revisiting some of our previous content because it's time. Things have changed a bit. But anyway, but once you do it, the expectation that you need to have is that you are always going to be grinding, always. And hopefully, as you grow through the process, you learn what to do, what not to do, what works well, what doesn't work for yourself, so that you're easing the way maybe in how you're doing the chase. But the goal of business is not to just maintain or get to cruising altitude, right? How many clients, like to
Yeah.
your point about the why, if you say, well, I want and or need to make $300,000 a year as a coach, you need to have a conversation with a professional to, not saying you can't do it, because there are people doing it, but those people are so few and far between because they have maybe the ability to stick to it. Do you have funds to carry you through? But I think the big point that we're talking about today is the mindset going into it, that somehow it's easy and it's not. And what is it that you're offering? The competition is even more fierce than when John and I started the podcast almost 2 years ago. The
Oh
competition,
God.
yeah, the statistics, which will bring us to something we'll talk about next time. But I almost went there, John. I'm sorry.
Almost. You almost
Almost.
spoilers. But I look at it this way: your coaching business, when you're getting started, is this should be your big rock. This is the
Yeah.
big rock that you have to roll up a hill and try and get it over the top of the hill so it starts gaining some of its own momentum. But along the way, you're going to be tempted to pick up other rocks and pebbles and everything else that will slow you down. And if you let them or get busy with the stuff that's just busy rather than moving the needle for you, that's all stuff that's going to slow you down to a point where you may even find that your big rock is rolling backwards rather than towards any kind of momentum in the future. And the further away your objective, your goals get from you, the more disheartening that becomes as well. The harder it is to keep going with it,
Yeah.
the more likely you're just going to call it quits and say, oh, I can't do it, it's too hard. And it's like, you can do it, you just haven't done it the right way yet.
Well, there is one of the things that this person shared is being flexible and experimenting, learning that they can't just show up and go, this is what I'm offering. Guess what? If the market isn't responding, you need to really think about what it is that you're offering and how you're presenting it. There, again, there's so many components to it, but I think that this person talked about kind of even getting a little stuck. I think the word she used was comparisonitis. And I think we all do
Okay, I
that.
like that.
Yeah, it's a great word. It's like, hey, and I think it's hard for us to all not look and do that because everybody wants to influence on some level. And being a coach, you are an influencer, even if it's not in the way that is meant nowadays. But you do have to
It,
be able to set yourself up for success. I think, right? If we had something to offer back, are when you decide you want to do this, you want to be a professional coach for as a living, how are you setting yourself up for success? And there's probably a checklist out there that we should
that's a great idea.
utilize.
Maybe we should
Yeah.
look for that. Create it. Here's what I'll say. Having coached many people over the years, people who've in one way, shape, or form been moving into personal or professional development areas, coaching, speaking, and otherwise. From all those people, I've often found this to be the case, that very often they have an idea about what they want to take to market and how they want to help people. As I said, this is what people need. I've got what people need, but you may not have what they want. You may have what they need,
Mhm.
but you may not have what they want, or you're not offering them actually what they want. It has to have the packaging of selling them what they want, the problem that they recognize they have in the language that they understand it. And then you can give them what you feel that they need. But you do have to make sure that you are serving a market, you are doing something that solves a problem for people and helps them progress and develop along the way, and maybe also goes more general beyond that as well, because coaching often does. But that's really where it has to start. You can't just be, oh, well, I put this thing on the market, I make it available for people, everyone's going to come and buy it. If you haven't got all these bits figured out, it's just not going to happen. That sort of field of dreams mentality isn't real. It's fantasy land.
Well, and then what happens? We become disheartened. And
Yeah.
here's the thing. We do have to be able to have a conversation with ourselves about, is it that I'm not really putting it out? I think that there's this misconception that I have such a great idea. I'm coming at this differently than everybody else is. And if I just put it out there on socials and socials of choice, depending on your demographic and where they belong and when you do things and all, et cetera, right? Just thinking that, oh, the phone is gonna start ringing, and it doesn't. That's an expectation, number 1. Number 2, at some point, is it really a great idea? You have to be able to have that conversation with yourself. I'm not getting anything. What should I be looking for? What is a realistic goal to have so I can set realistic expectations and not be impatient, right? With you're starting something new in a very flooded, not everybody's not running off to become an attorney, right? They're just not. But
No.
very most, if not every industry is funneling into how I can teach people how to do this or how I can coach people in this field. I noticed that there was a gap that needed to be connected, and I'm going to do it. I'm going to be the one. Even if you have the greatest of concepts, you do have to give things a minute. And that minute's really going to depend on you and your opportunity. How long can you go without a paycheck? Just asking.
Yeah, that actually become relevant when you're starting off. How much of a buffer do you have financially to be able
Mhm.
to put time and effort into this?
Yeah.
How long have you got before you would have to stop trying to build the business, basically, if the income's not coming through? But let me say this as well. There is a reason why, and this isn't just coaching most businesses fail before they've even started, which is that most people aren't willing to do the foundational work, the research, the checking out that people actually do want what they're offering, the
Mhm.
pre-selling, if you like. As speakers, we can a talk before we've even written it. As coaches, we can pre-sell a coaching program before we've even created it,
Right.
because we want to be able to check that people actually want it before we go through all that process of creating the huge program, the website and everything else, bells and whistles and anything else that goes with it, and then finding out after all that that nobody really wants it. So many businesses just do that, start the business, the clients will come, of course people want it, I would want it, and yet there's something missing. It's because you haven't done the foundational work before starting the business. You just decided to go into it. Good for you. Ready, fire, aim and all that. I'm all for that.
Ready, fire, aim.
But there is something to be said for foundations, because one of the other things that I see people then doing, I've done it myself. I don't judge other people for doing this. This has been one of my biggest challenges in coaching, is aiming for the high level stuff before you have all the other foundations of your business, before you've really built up a solid business in the first place, thinking, well, I need to be on all the social medias. I need to have all the podcasts. I need to have all the videos and articles and all of that. And you're trying to, and books and whatever else. And you have to have all of that before that's going to bring you the clients. Well, it's not. It's not if you don't have all the foundational stuff done first.
Right. And I think becoming a professional student is a great way to divert ourselves from actually having to do the work that really needs to be done. And we feel unfortunately satisfied because we feel like we're actually working and we are doing the work in that moment. And I've talked about this on several of our recordings that that's just not true. I'm not even going to say that there aren't people who I don't want to call it luck. I would say get lucky slash have a really great sphere of influence that will actively help promote them or utilize them and give them a very strong foundation from which they can work. But that is so rare. It's just rare that that will happen. So if you have that, you might be the exception to this conversation. And of course, we buy off on that. Sometimes it's who you know and not necessarily what you know. But at some point, even that is going to go away. And you have to be able to arm yourself, prepare yourself. What's going on in that market? It's like any market. What is happening? How are people getting new gigs? I would tell you that even on LinkedIn, which is the standard if you want to do professional coaching speaking, it's like, hey, come here and do this, show us. There's so much of it now that it's almost like I need to go to cable. I can't stand the commercials anymore. Ha ha, right? 1990 something. That dating myself, but do you know what I mean? Even then,
Yeah.
you're not even safe from it. I'm not saying it's not necessary. Don't misunderstand, but you need to make sure that you're not just doing things to say, oh, well, I have some posts going out on LinkedIn. I'm actively working on Instagram. Well, do the research for the soap operas, right? Soap operas, they became a thing. And because that was when companies said, ooh, our client is watching these. This is where we're going to plug in our soap, our laundry detergents, all of those things that this person needs. So you can't forget the strategy. Don't just plop it out there for one example and think, all right, well, I've done everything that I can do.
100%. I come across this so often with people I work with, Angie, and people who reach out to me, often with the same kind of issues, where they see bigger names doing all things, being all over the place, and well, they have teams of people doing all of that.
Teams, yes.
They can do that. They're already at a level of success where they're pretty well known and they can be everywhere. But it's far better for us to focus in on one channel for building up our audience, one social media channel where we know our audience is. If you don't know who your audience is or who your potential clients are or where to find them, you are going to have the hardest time getting any clients at all.
Well,
And so
don't
I
you
think it's
think that goes back
absolutely
to the wide
essential.
yeah, no, and
Yeah.
that goes to the wide let me cast the mindset for many, and I'm not saying that was this person that wrote in, but It was, let's cast the widest net. This way I can catch the most fish. Well, remember that when you're looking for a specific catch, you need to use specific bait to get them. And I think that's part of this. I think it's not just if you're going to set expectations for yourself, where are you even deriving those? From where are they coming? What is the expectation? And I didn't ask this person that question, but what was your expectation? And how did it affect your movement forward? Did it stop you in your tracks? Did it create procrastination? Did it make you say, I need to just go run and get a job? That may not be it may be the case, but it may not be the case. So again,
It makes so much sense in one way that you would look at what other people are doing that seems to be working for them and copy that. That makes so much sense.
sure,
But you do also have to look at what ends up moving the needle for you and what ends up making a difference, because it's very possible, and kind of relates to everything we've just been talking about there, that you can fill all of your time up, fill all your days up and being very busy, taking lots of action, and you're
mhm,
taking lots of action. You think, right, I deserve the clients because I'm taking lots of action. This is the law of reciprocity. The universe will
sure,
give me, why? Because I've been working so hard. And then the clients don't come. And what the heck? What's going on? Because you're not doing the actions that are moving the needle. You have to track this
right.
stuff. Most coaches don't. I've been super guilty of that through my own coaching journey. That if we're really honest with ourselves and if we really tracked, are we doing the stuff that's moving the needle, that's getting us results? A lot of us are not. A lot of us are being busy for the sake of being busy, or we're reaching too high to the stuff that we're not ready for yet, without actually having a solid foundation of a business, like a client list, enough income coming through to take care of ourselves, our family, or whoever else. That has to be a first priority with your coaching
Yeah.
business. Get the
Yeah.
clients coming in.
It is the only thing. It is your only job. Your job is to get paid. Your job is to make this into a living, into a business. And you do have to do that a certain way. So, for example, if you open up a clothing store for infants only, you definitely don't want to necessarily be around the other. If you look at a mall, which I know malls are becoming obsolete, they're getting knocked down left and right. I'm just saying that if you look at malls, most of the time, they're very strategic about where the juniors are. Those stores are all in one space, so you don't have to go. The mall wants you to make money so they can take more money. They're being strategic about the placement. It is advertising. One store advertises for another. So you need to make sure that where you sit, you're able to have the right conversations with the right people using the right bait. That's the bottom line. And so many levels to this that we can go into. I think the biggest shift has been, though, since we started recording, is that it has become an even more coaching, speaking, personal development has become an even greater competition because people are, though it's everything's shifting. It's shifting globally. How we earn, how we work is shifting. And you can't just go in. And the thing that you said earlier is you can't just look at people who are doing it. Yes, it's great to say, oh, I want to do that. But you don't know how long it took them to get there. You have no idea what that
Yeah.
looked like. So it may look easy to your point, John, but that doesn't mean that it just, oh, I came up with this great concept and look, here I am. I am so successful. I'd love to get my hands on any big influence, anybody in the personal development field that is a well-known name and say, what were your greatest challenges? And I don't mean in the beginning. I mean, what is your ongoing greatest challenge? What is the challenge that will never go away? Because I would venture to guess that it's no different than what we're talking about, is how you keep it going. Gain the traction, find the right space, and then keep it going.
I think there are still three main paths to bringing in clients. And I think one of them is speaking. One of them is speaking on stages. That's
Mhm,
still a great way to bring in clients on the right stages.
mhm.
One of them is social media. Undoubtedly, that's very useful, but in the right way. And there's so many different things there. Like not just social media, media in general. Media is still very powerful. So I think
Sure.
I would maybe just wrap that all under media, but you might want to split that for yourself into social media
Yeah.
and mainstream media as well, because there are general differences in accessibility, especially. But the other would be paid advertising. That's still a very valid way of moving forward for those who have the budgets to do that. Beyond that, ongoing, is making sure that you set your business up with referral systems so that your clients are referring you as well, because they are the best testimonial for you, and they're the best representation of your business. Personal recommendation, word of mouth is always going to be the
Yeah,
most powerful advertising tool that you can have.
I agree. Definitely. Well, I think we hit on so many things today. I think you and I should be making a checklist, by the way.
Do it.
But
We'll work on that. We'll work
we'll
on it.
work on that. But yeah, so thank you to I told this person that they would, remain anonymous, but I am so grateful for the input and would look forward to hearing more from anybody that would just like to ask a question or just share experiences that we can bring forth to these recordings that we're making. There's great value in that. It means you're listening, you're hearing us. We love that. Fabulous.
We absolutely do. And so next time we're gonna come back and have a bit of a chat about something that's going on for a lot of people right now who are involved in some of these bigger coaching companies who are finding things are not
Mm.
going so well. Well, we want to help you out a bit. We want to talk about things you might want to be considering. It definitely follows on very nicely from this episode that you might be thinking, I need to sort some other things out now because there's just not enough work coming through. Well,
Mhm.
that's what we're going to get on to next time. All right. So I look forward to that. Hope you'll join us for it.
Bye for now. Do you have a question for the coaching clinic?
Reach out on LinkedIn to connect with Angie and John.
Leave us a voicemail or video message and we will feature you on the show.
You can also leave up to 90-second voicemail for free on www.speakpipe.com/the Coaching Clinic podcast.
We'd love to hear from you.
See you next time.
Bye for now.